Hi, this is Jenna Afgar, and I am back today. And today we have Theresa Nguyen with three shifts to take your business in life from potential to prosperity. And she is one of our Business Growth Network insiders that we've been working with, and she's been working with us. I feel like I get so much out of her. She's been a nurse for like 20 years, right?
Almost 20 years. Yeah, it's crazy.
And just started her entrepreneurial journey 4.5 years ago with network marketing. And I know especially a lot of women jump into that. And I know David has a history in that. But she has built not a little business, but quite a big business, and led her team of entrepreneurs to six-figure sales in just 2 years, which has changed countless lives. And that's been a big thing that I work with personally. Like when you can put extra money into the pocket of a mom, that really does change lives. So I'm going to let her kind of take over from here and let you know kind of how she got there. And she's got coaches now. She is a coach. But how did you get from being a nurse to being an entrepreneur to investing a lot of money in coaches, and now you are a coach yourself too?
Yeah. Being a business owner was never in my radar. Although my family has a history of entrepreneurship, I never wanted any part of it because all I saw was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and they never had time for family. They missed a lot of really a lot of moments when I wish my parents were there. They were unavailable, and I didn't want to repeat that same cycle in my life. So in my head, I was already like, there's no way I'm going to be an entrepreneur because I don't want to lead that same life. But what I didn't realize was that you can still be an entrepreneur and continue to have all those other things that you want. Like I am not my parents. So the patterns that they created, I don't have to repeat those same patterns. And so as a nurse, so nursing was not what I imagined it to be. I loved it for a while, but caring for other people is really draining. And, being away for the holidays and working on weekends was something that I just didn't want to have to continue to do basically until I retire.
That's a hard schedule.
Yeah, it sucks. It's like waking up on Christmas Day and not seeing your kids and like just having so much resentment towards your job because you're missing out on those moments. And so I started to become really bitter. And it reflected in my relationships with my family and my husband, and we were like just roommates living under the same household. And I just knew that something had to change. But at the same time, I wasn't open to anything else. I just felt like I was stuck in this nursing niche that I went to school, I spent all this money, went to grad school, accrued over $100,000 in debt. And I'm like, there is nothing else I can do. And my friend had
really invested. When people talk about being invested, you were invested.
Oh yeah. And that was just grad school. And then, I still had my college debt too. So yeah, like tons and tons of.
That was just grad school?
Yep. That was just grad school.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's crazy. But I think too, it's like, grad school at NYU. So that was just, taking it up another notch. But I didn't have a choice. NYU actually was the only school that offered that specific program that I wanted. And I was just very lucky to be able to have been accepted. But, with everything, there's a price to pay. And I really paid the price. But I digress. Yeah. So, it's like I was $150,000 in debt. I had a mortgage to pay. My family relationships are falling apart. I hated my job. And I felt...
And I can see your eyes getting glassy. You're being very honest. And I can see feeling that emotion all over again.
Yeah, I get really emotional when I talk about, because I'm like, I don't want people to feel like they are stuck, because you always have a choice. You just have to really be open to the opportunities that are out there, you know. And I'm not saying that network marketing is for everybody, because obviously I didn't think it was for me, but it was a vehicle for me to achieve the things that I wanted in my life, you know, whether it was time, whether it was more money, whether it was making more memories. And for me, it was really taking back my time, you know, taking back my time so that I would have more Christmases with my kids and go on vacations, you know, outside of the US, being able to pay down my debt, like just all these dreams that I had. And I thought that when people say, when people always say, I hope one day, I wish one day, that it was always just a hope and a wish. It was never a dream come true. It was never a dream that would come true. Like I seriously never believed in dreams. I would always wish. And so my friend introduced me through network marketing. And while it wasn't something that I was interested in at first, after the second or third time she had reached out to me, I was open to the conversation, because at this point, I think I was just desperate. You know, I was just desperate for something. And I thought, if she has had all this success in network marketing, like, why can't I? Like, she's a beautiful, wonderful, smart, giving person, but she's just a normal girl from New Jersey, you know, and I'm just a normal girl from Minnesota. So if she has all this success, why can't I? And after talking to her, I realized that, wow, like, I really can have a business and be able to grow it enough where it will either allow me to retire myself or my husband, something that would allow us to be able to create a better life for ourselves and for our family and for our children. And within 2 years, I was able to replace my husband's income. And at the time, the goal was to allow me to be at home. But I'm not the best stay-at-home mom. Like, that's not my passion, and I'm honestly not very good at it. Like, I'm not good at routine, you know. Like, I would just let my kids, you know, eat macaroni and cheese from the microwave. Like, not that that's bad, but like,
ate macaroni and cheese. I got them for 2 weeks, and I'm like, my schedule is blown.
No judgment, no judgment, okay?
Every single day. And I'm like, let's eat healthy. And I put them in schools that have healthy foods. And then they're stuck with me for 2 weeks, and I'm like, macaroni and cheese, some Chinese Thai takeout, some pizza.
Yeah, I know. And then my husband too, he's very structured. He's very, you know, I always told him, oh, weird that my Siri just totally went off while we're talking. Sorry about that.
She wanted to join.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that'd be so cool and creepy at the same time.
It was really creepy. Like, suddenly Siri just popped on. He didn't have like a very good upbringing as a child. So it surprised me that he was able to create his own, you know, healthy patterns of parenthood and what he wanted his relationship with his kids to look like, you know. And so after some discussion, and it's really crazy because he had just gotten promoted, I just gotten promoted, we were going to move to Texas, and then I was like, why don't you just stay home with the kids? And because we never thought about retiring him. Again, it was me, because it was my business. It wasn't our business. It was my business. I ran it. I, you know, spent my time on it. Eddie was just sort of there to help me with the kids or whatever when I was busy in meetings or things like that. And long story short, anyways, we retired him, which then allowed me to also find a position that wasn't as demanding. And in turn, now it's like, you know, you can have it all in all at the same time. I hate it when people say you can't have it all at the same time, because you really can. It might look differently
I
than you
think that's the big
envisioned.
one. You cannot have it all the way it's necessarily in your head.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Right.
need help.
Exactly. It's like
Like,
you ask for all these things and you want all these things and you ended up getting them, but it's not actually what you envisioned.
like
Right.
I know one of ours is like, it's really nice to come home to a really clean house.
Mm-hmm.
Because of my upbringing, my mom just, she was probably the same way like your husband's dealing with, but we always had to clean. I
Mm-hmm.
hate cleaning. I really
Mm-hmm.
want the clean house, but it, like you were mentioning, it creates a bitter relationship with everyone's like, oh, I can't, the dishes never stop, the laundry never stops, but we all want a clean house. And so you're bitter over it. And you're talking about having it all. We can have it all. It's just not going to be with us doing it. We have a maid once a
Yes.
week now.
Totally.
I
That's,
would much rather work, that's one client for my husband, that's one or two clients for me, depending on the size of the client. I would much rather spend the time they spend cleaning, working by
mm-hmm.
the fireplace with the kids,
Mm-hmm.
than cleaning. So I can
Yeah.
have it all. I can't do it all.
Right. You're right, Jenna. The I can't do it all part, I think, is what people need to get over, is that they can have it all, but they don't have to do it all themselves either.
You have to be a good
You know?
delegator.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree. That took me a while to understand that it's okay. Like it's okay to delegate and release control. Because I will fully admit I am a recovering control freak. She comes back sometimes, but for the most part, I think that I'm really good at delegating these days because it makes life so much easier.
I've noticed even in business now, as I'm trying to grow, I have to keep on taking myself back where I'm not the digital marketer. I'm not even a marketing strategist. I have to learn to step back and train other people to do that.
mm,
I have to write the process or the checklist for them to go through. I need to start the project and direct it, and I need to end the project, but you have to let it go. The
mm-hmm.
rest of it, you have to just be like, and to give them some freedom, because you're not always the smartest person in the room. Other people
Oh,
have great ideas.
absolutely.
I'm not
Yeah.
the best housekeeper. I actually
Yeah.
kind of suck at it. My maid is out of the country right now, and I'm like, I have a party. I'm like, it's never, no matter how much I clean,
Yeah.
it's never as good as when she does it, and she does it
Yeah.
so fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Letting
Right.
that control go and knowing that getting people who are better at it than you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And not letting your ego get in the way. I mean,
You
obviously
have
house
a fan.
cleaning
One
is,
of your trainers is Tanya Eliza.
well, I would say she's my trainer, but she's definitely a resource that I go
Resource.
to. Yeah. She's
We
definitely a
did some of
resource
her
that I go to.
videos.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, she doesn't like doing videos.
Wait, no, she does. She doesn't like doing videos?
She doesn't like doing the editing. She
Oh,
will
got it.
film them. She does not like doing any of the editing.
Oh, got it. Okay, okay. Got it. Yeah. You guys got her account?
Mm-hmm.
That is awesome, Jenna. That is
Um,
amazing.
it was a marketer, and I wouldn't even say we got her account. I have her account through another marketer who gave
Mm-hmm.
it to us because she didn't want to do it either.
Yeah, yeah. That is awesome though. Congratulations. Because
But
Tanya's very big in, the online space.
the one of the people was saying they needed some help video editing in one of my marketing groups. I was like, toss it over here and we'll do a few. And then
Mm-hmm.
I was like, she looks so familiar. That name is so familiar. And then I was like, let me go over to the YouTube. Let me see what that's that girl Theresa said.
Isn't that funny?
It's a small world of marketers. We all hang out
Yeah,
together.
yeah. That is pretty
But
cool.
back on topic, like you can have it all.
Yeah, just not
Not
at the same time. I
not
mean, I mean, you can have it all, but it might not look exactly the way you envisioned it.
You're not gonna be Superwoman by any stretch of the imagination anytime soon.
No, and I hate it when people say I'm a superwoman, and I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm really not. If you saw my life behind closed doors, you would know, and I can't take credit for everything either. Like I have an entire team of women, who have helped build this business. So I have to credit them because without them, I wouldn't have achieved this level of success. So Yeah, there's no such thing as superwoman. Or like if people say, get to the level of Beyonce, I'm just like, don't be Beyonce, just be you. Like, just be the best badass version of you, because that is who you're really going to, the types of people that you're going to attract. You don't want to attract Beyonce's people. You want to attract your own people, um, so yeah, so anyways, now we've created, after the 2 years, I'll be honest with you, network marketing sort of, it burnt me out a little bit because I went at it really, really hard. And at some point I just felt super burnt out and I needed a new passion. I needed to really expand my, my reach, because I wanted to help people more than just within my own network marketing business. I want to impact people worldwide, because why not? We have this online space. Like, there's nobody that I can't reach out to at this point. And through like the different struggles that I've had as an entrepreneur and having overcome that, I really feel like there's a lot of at different levels that I can relate to people personally and professionally, like through their business.
Mm-hmm.
And then help them, take those steps to get to, whatever picture of success they want to reach.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I went into coaching. And coaching was also something I never was interested in. Someone had actually mentioned to me a couple years ago and I dismissed it. But I started to revisit again when I sort of had those feelings of just being tired of the business and I needed a new passion. And so this has really revived my energy. And I love just, I love meeting people who have the same passion and a big vision and really believe that they can achieve it. It's just that there are specific mindset blocks that hold them back from moving forward in the business, because it's like the bigger your goals, the bigger your fears. And sometimes those fears are so powerful, you can't get past it. And that's kind of like where I step in, where
the vision and the goal, the bigger the mountains.
Yeah,
Whether it's
absolutely.
like we have Noah St. John on later who he talks about head trash as his big thing. Or it just the complications. I was trying to decide, I was telling David earlier, I was sitting down interviewing for an account manager and I keep hiring salespeople, commission sales only people too. But when you actually looked at hiring them, how do you structure it? I told him, I was like, I want a fembot army. I want a nationwide, maybe global fembot army of salespeople who can make money. And then I went to look at the laws governing that, and I was like, it's this giant document of garble, IRS, legal, CPA, mumble jumble. And I was like, this hurts my head.
Yeah.
Like
it would put me to sleep.
Explode. So you're like, you're looking at starting a business. You're like, how do I start a Facebook page? It's like business 101. Yeah. But the bigger those goals and those visions are, the roadblocks, the mountains in front of you get bigger. And so it's easy to turn around.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It is. That's the easy part, right? It's just to quit. The easy part is to quit. The hard part is actually to follow through and get to the end despite how many times you fail. And so that kind of leads me into like the shifts that I recommend people make. And there are so many different ones, but I think these are sort of like the three that seems to resonate. And that people have the most difficulty sort of overcoming. And one is just to so the first one I wanted to talk to you about was to just lean into your fear of failure. So failure is inevitable and your luck is going to run out. It's just part of the process, not an abnormal part of the process, right? I mean, do you know anyone who has not failed ever in their entire life, right? Yeah. And if you can see it as sort of like a necessary lesson, it will, it's not as scary, you know, like if you can somehow not compartmentalize it, but
I say make peace with it. Go in with it knowing good chance I'm gonna like blow this. There's a good chance it's not going to work.
Yeah. And then also like think about like what it is that you can learn from it versus, you know, being so self-critical because you didn't get the outcome that you wanted to achieve, you know. And I feel like if you're not getting any negative feedback then from other people, then you're not taking enough risks, you know, like the fear of like what other people are going to think about you, the fear of what other people are going to say about you. Like the more successful you get, the more
people run their mouths.
yeah. And the more like they're just more in front of your face, you know. And that's scary. Even for me, that's scary. But I have to.
We have a YouTube channel, and I had it from when I was just an influencer, and not even a big one. I was just focusing on what business owners need, SEO videos. And somebody commented on a video that was one of my first videos. And so we're talking, wow, 5 years old, 4 years old. Like I'm not the same person or business whatsoever. And they're like, do you know the difference between a review and a guide? I don't care. And you just have to learn to like, let it go. Or I showed David earlier, I got called I have a negative review on Facebook. I'm a privileged navel gazer.
What's that?
I have too much privilege. I said, make Facebook fun again. It's not a client. It was somebody who saw, I used the hashtag make Facebook fun again.
Okay.
And so they called me a privileged navel gazer. I guess is that stuck up or?
I have no idea what that means. I've never heard of that before.
Like, get a job, you dirty hippie. I rebranded after that though. But you have to learn to laugh at it. Like I can say it now. Like it really bothered me the first day. I got these 2 negative reviews off the same Facebook post. People were trolling Facebook in January after the political scene. But you get negative reviews and more people point out every misspelling, every missed grammar. You didn't put this word or you ended in a proposition. I'm like, I don't care. I have a landing page and it's converting leads about 1 an hour. What's yours doing?
Yeah. You're right.
You have to get over that. And we started when we started rebranding ourselves, especially the last, 4 months, a lot more eyes. And sometimes it's hard to stand there with everyone staring at you.
Yeah, it is. It is. And even like, and like, and then like the next, which leads me into my next mindset shift is embracing the imposter syndrome, you know, because we always are going to feel with every big step that, oh my gosh, like, am I smart enough for this? Am I good enough for this? Do I have enough experience? You know, and one of my mentors always told me, she's like, you only have to be half a step ahead of your ideal client, you know, and there's billions of people out there. No one's, you know, you're not marketing to all, I don't know how many billions of people are out there, but you're not marketing to all those people, you know, you're marketing to just a small population and you only have to be half a step ahead of them. So if you can do that, then that makes you the expert. That makes you hireable. That makes you somebody who can be a mentor, a coach, because they still don't know what that next step is, but you do, you know. So that's the other mindset shift is that, you know, besides leaning into your fear, is to just really embrace imposter syndrome. And even like, what is her name? Let me find it here. Oh shoot, I forgot. Oh, here, Maya Angelou. Oh. She says, she says, I've written 11 books, but each time I think, they're going to find out now. I've run a game on everybody and they're going to find me out. Like, this is Maya Angelou and she still, you know, struggles with the imposter syndrome. So in a sense, you know, like feeling that doesn't make you any special. It doesn't make you any more special, meaning like it's so common. So that should make us feel better, you know, that we do will and kind of might always feel that imposter syndrome. Like it's just common, and it's part of the process as you grow and build and expand and evolve, you know?
And I've heard it said, if you focus on what your superpower is that you're bringing to the table, I can talk marketing all day long, social media, email, integrations, websites, whatever. If you talk to me about business operations, I'm going to sound like a moron.
Mm-hmm.
If you talk about building a sales team, I mean, I'm having to learn that kind of now, but I'm going to be like, you want me to what? So if I think a lot of like when I've heard, because I've talked to several high-end business coaches where they're dealing with major CEOs.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked to several of those CEOs, like on this summit, when I go to outside summits and, you know, it's a gathering of business owners. And a lot of them say the same thing, like, I'm a freaking moron. I'm like, no, you're really smart at this one thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're really great at building amazing housing communities. You're really great at social work. You're really great at marketing. You're really great at business coaching. There's no reasonable like expectation of you that you can do everything perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like, and they all talk about feeling like an imposter.
Mm-hmm.
Every one of them does, like, no matter how big they are up there.
Right.
Fortune 50 CEOs are like, I was hired on for a guy, not Fortune 50, but who's taken over a holding company for several other companies as CEO. And he's like, I don't know what it means to be a CEO.
Mm.
He felt like an imposter, but was like, but you know how to do this part of the business that no one else knows how to do. You don't even have to know what those companies do. You don't need to know the science behind it, but you know how to run numbers and reports and delegate expenses.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
build all that stuff. And the rest of us are like, huh?
Yeah.
You just have to know your part.
Exactly. Yeah. And I tell the people that I work with all the time, like my coaching clients, is that, you know, I'm not your expert marketing. I'm not your Facebook marketing expert. You know, like I know how to do things, but my focus really is on helping to guide you to where you need to go next, you know. But if you want specific like marketing advice, and growing your online, you know, audience, like, then that's somebody else. Like you need to go to somebody else whose specialty is just online marketing, you know. And so sometimes
Or
I think
them.
Oh, right, exactly.
That's the
No,
other
yes.
one. I'm like, you don't
Yes.
have to learn everything.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You just like it's like with the maid, or with even social media marketing. Why? Or Jim Traster was on talking about, he does organic social media marketing, especially on Twitter, for hospitality clients. And I actually remembered him reaching out to me when I was an influencer. I didn't know it was him, but he was working on behalf of one of his clients. And it worked so well. He's really good at that. You know, the restaurants, why would a restaurant owner know anything of, even want to learn social media marketing? That's not what they should be doing with their time.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I think, and I'm going to bring this up too, and I think part of it too is, especially with people who are just starting their business, and not even that. I mean, I know people who are like crazy over the top successful. They just like don't want to spend their money. You know, they don't see that as an investment to grow their business. They would rather spend their own time than spend their own money trying to grow their business. And that's like one of the other blocks too, is like the whole money mindset, like, you know, growing up and seeing your parents, all they did was save their money because, you know, oh, you don't need to spend your money on a housekeeper, you know, what a waste of money, you can do that yourself. So everything, the whole message of them growing up is you can do everything yourself, you don't need to hire anyone. And so you have this business which is thriving and growing, but at some point it stays stagnant, or you're just like killing yourself because you end up just doing everything on your own. And that's like a huge mentality with network marketers as well, is at least the ones that I work with, is that they don't want to spend the money they earn, you
Well, and
know.
one of the stories, I actually have it on, I don't know this name, by Blout, Fanatical Prospecting. Um, he had come in and he was telling a story how he was talking to this sales guy, and he said, let's calculate up how much money, because he took off like 2 days from work so that he would have a 4-day weekend to build like a fence or something.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, here's the fence cost over here. Let's calculate when you are on the phone, making your phone calls, doing the things that you're supposed to do, selling, that you're great at. You're one of the top salespeople. Let's calculate how much money you make per hour
Mm-hmm.
of, dialing or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they calculated it out, and like 2 hours of his time made as much as the fence.
Oh yes, I think I've heard that story somewhere.
So
Maybe you told it to me. I don't remember.
So I do that all the time too, right? Here he is taking 4 days out of his life to build a fence. There was probably a lot of yelling involved, right?
Mm-hmm.
And frustration. He probably stabbed his hand or hammered his fingers a few times.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just hard work. And if I don't want to like completely take away, because I know working out in my lawn sometimes is relaxing. It's that like regrounding back to the earth and just getting outside. That's one thing. But he was only doing it so he didn't have to pay a fence guy to come in and install his fence.
Yeah.
He made more in 2 hours than the cost.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy?
That just so, and I get that, wrapping your head around that. And one of my first major clients, I'm going to forget her last name, Kim Snyder. She's built and sold like 11 businesses. So amazing businesswoman from back in the day before women really did that, right? And she was like, well, that only works. And here's what I figure out, the key point of that is it only works if you're working during that time. So if I hire the maid or I hire a social media person and then I don't do anything for that same time period, then it doesn't work out.
Right. Right.
So everything has to be leveraged correctly. You can't just, still take off 4 days and go to Disney World. You still need to work those 2 hours, right? But
right. Good point. Exactly. But going back to the, control part too, that we were talking about earlier is, being okay to delegate that and hiring it out, because that's, especially now, because, with social media, and if you hire the right people or the people who you resonate with the most, they can reach those people way faster than you can. You don't even know all the little tips and tricks and things like that, let them do what they're good at so they can help you, and then free up your time to do things that light you up and give you passion, So yeah, that's a really good point. I love that fence story, and I swear to gosh, I don't remember who
and
told
I'm pretty
me.
sure it's Fanatical Prospecting. Now I'm going to have to go look it up. I'm pretty sure it's that one.
I haven't read that book, but I do remember that fence story. Maybe there's more than one fence story, Jenna. So just kidding. Okay.
Or maybe everyone else tells it again.
Yeah, possibly.
So like summary, those 3 items, now I've almost forgotten. Like I know there was, oh my gosh.
Oh, are you talking about the shifts?
Yeah, what are the 3 shifts?
Oh, okay. So I didn't get to the third one yet, but it's kind of, it'll all be wrapped up together here. It's lean into your fear is the first one. Embrace the imposter syndrome. And then the last one really is knowing that it's okay to have money. Because I think money, like the desire to have a lot of money, makes people judge you. A lot of people think that, money is the root of all evil. I mean, that's what my kids have said even, and I don't even ever recall telling them that. So it's through society, or maybe, my parents even, because they grew up always telling us that all you need is just enough. You never need more than enough. God just gives you just enough to survive. And that's basically how I grew up and what I believe too, until I got into network marketing. I realized, like, no, you can have more. And when you have more, you can do more and give more and be more. And, basically money is just a tool for you to have the things that you want and do the things that you want. Because most of us are not terrorists. So if we make tons of money, it's not like we're going to be funding evil projects or evil things. We do good with it for the most part, because giving away our money makes us feel good, but it's only when we have it. But if we're struggling and we're in this place of lack and yearning, then you can't, it's like you're hoarding your money all the time. And even giving like $5 to the church every week is a big deal, even though you spend $3 a day or $4 a day on coffee. You know what I mean? So
know what I'm talking about.
But see, but it's okay getting into the mentality of it's okay to want wealth. And when you also around, having money and spending money is not you being in debt. It's actually you investing in yourself. When you're spending money on your business or yourself, it's an investment. And the debt on your credit card is a balance that you have, because you were able to, it's like blessings. My coach once told me, it's a blessings that you were able to pay ahead of time. That's all it is. It's blessings paid ahead of time. And when it comes to business, you just focus on what's due today and then take it month by month, because we also as humans have a tendency to worry all the time, and worry doesn't serve us at all. It just stresses you out.
Well, and when you walk in, I realize not everyone has to pitch clients directly, but when you are talking to someone in person, on the phone, and I think even by email, text message, they can smell the desperation. If you're coming from that scarcity mindset, if you are desperately seeking money, like, oh my gosh, the farm's going to be mortgaged tomorrow.
Yeah.
They can smell it. Like you push too hard, you say things in the wrong way.
Yeah.
And then you end up not getting the client.
Right.
Like my husband in the beginning would freak out. He's like, all right, you put the kids in school. You were making $800 a month extra in the evening time. That's enough to put one of the kids in school, and he was going to take care of the other one. And then 2 weeks in, that client's business basically folded. So $500 a month just went right out the door. And I was just like, it's going to be all right. Like it's good. We're just going to chill. I have an entire month with 40 hours a week to figure this out. It's fine.
Yeah.
But when you stress and, maybe your car is being repossessed and things are bad, but there's some amount of peace I've learned you just have to make peace with.
Right. And then you do, I don't know if you've ever heard of fear setting, but it's like when you encounter some sort of fear or worry, right? You just ask yourself okay, so say your car is getting repossessed. And so you're like, okay, I no longer have a car. Now what? Well, now I'm not going to be able to drive myself to work. Okay, so then what? Well, possibly I might not be able to continue working my 9 to 5. Well, then what? Then I can't pay my bills. Then what? Then I'll lose my house. Then what? Then I'll be homeless. Then what? And eventually it comes to you'll die, because we all die, right? But at the same time, you're going to die anyway. So what? Just, and so when I talk to my clients and they talk about fear, I'm always like, okay, so what's the worst fear? And what's at the very end of it, we just keep adding, yeah, okay, so what? And then at the end is always then I'll die. I'm like, big deal. We're all going to die anyway, So just effing do it. What are you so scared about? We're all going to die. So just do it, because that's the worst that can happen. And it's no different from me, no different from Beyonce, no different from Jenna, we're all kind of in the same position. And, but it also gets you to think a little differently about your fears too. Okay, yeah, I guess that is the worst. And obviously none of us want that to happen. But none of us can prevent death, right? We're going to die sooner or later. None of us can prevent that. But when you let your fear control you to the point where you can't move forward and you're just paralyzed by it. And I totally get that, because I have been there. And but it doesn't serve you. It doesn't help you grow. It doesn't help you, find your passion. It doesn't help you live the life of your dreams. It doesn't help you to be happy. Like fear is, I wish people would just make fear their friend,
Fear their
and just,
friend.
yeah, it just, because fear really is there to protect you, right? Like my coach again once told me that you are not allowed to be afraid unless you're being attacked by a lion or a bear, and because fear is there for
That's
that.
real fear, right?
Yes.
You will die.
Yeah, unless it's like life or death. Unless it's life or death, you are not allowed to be,
But even
afraid.
then, like I come from the military, the side, and those are the times you have to be the least afraid.
Oh my gosh. But see, for normal people though, Jenna, normal people like us.
I was telling somebody, I'm like, I will freak out way more over something stupid like the kitchen not being clean when people come over.
Yeah.
A tornado could hit, and I'm like, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were calm and we were chill.
Yeah.
But Will Smith did a really good, and I don't know if it was a formal talk or something that somebody, just flipped out a phone, right, and started recording him, but he was talking about his experience jumping out of an airplane, like for fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I could have said that myself. Like everything he was talking about, like a friend of mine doing SEER training who jumps out of planes all the time. I was helping him do the intel side of it, and he was like, hey, let's go jump out of a plane for fun. Like, let's go to a civilian one. Let's get a big parachute and let's just go jump. I'm like, yeah, like, sure. Yeah, that sounds great. You're like putting it off like forever, right?
Oh my gosh.
And he drops me off, and then he goes back. And by the time I open my email, there's the email. We're going this weekend, Saturday at 8 a.m. Here's the place. Here's the cost. Invite some friends. And I'm like, freaking out. And I look around the office like, if I'm going to be afraid, let's be afraid together. I'm like, and we're airmen. We have no money. We're scraping like, well, if I don't eat out, and if I can just put this on a credit card, and we're pulling this, I don't know, 100 or 220 together that it costs to go skydiving. And all the airmen are chiming in. And then one of the officers we are like, oh, I got a new Mercedes. I can't afford it.
What?
Like, no, you're scared. You're using money as an excuse. You're scared. And we're so afraid. We all are. We're like, oh my God, like, what if the parachute doesn't open? What if this? And we're all like, we're not sleeping well, especially the night before.
Yeah. And
we get up there and we're sitting in training and we're trying to listen, but we're just afraid of falling out of an airplane. I remember being in the airplane, and thank goodness it was a C-14, and that matters because if you jump out of a Cessna, you actually have to crawl across the wing while it's flying before you jump, so you don't hit the plane.
Oh my gosh.
But a C-14, it's a military aircraft, so the bottom just like opens up and you can just jump out with no fear. There's literally nothing you can hit. You're not going to bang your head or anything.
Yeah.
And so the guy's like, well, how do you want to do this? Do you just want to, because we did it with tandem, somebody strapped to the back. And I'm probably about to mess my pants. Like, I am just terrified. My whole body is in a reaction, and I'm still safe on the plane. There's no way at the current location that I'm dying short of a catastrophe. And he's like, how do you want to jump? I was like, you know what? If I'm going to die, let's die with some style. Do a double backflip. I really don't care. Have fun with it. And he does. He like just, it's like one, and then he just skips 2 and 3 and takes off running, and then just runs off the plane and does several flips. And there's such freedom at that point because I'm like, look, I'm going to have fun in the air, and I'm either going to go splat or not. Like, what's done is done.
Yeah.
You're either dead or you're not. Well, let's have fun on the way down.
Yes.
And it's so exhilarating at the moment that I could actually die. When I'm falling in the air, I'm free falling. And when you're free falling, you're not really getting oxygen. And your lips are like way back here waving around. And I'm not going to lie, that's a little bit painful. And you're having so much fun. That's the moment you can actually die.
Yeah.
Your life is actually in danger and you're having a blast.
Right.
That's the fun part.
Yes. And that's how I tell people too, like if they're Like the fear part, whenever you're scared to do something new, you're taking a big step, like it should be exciting and scary. You know, like if you don't have that scary part, then the goal is not big enough. Like that's not a big enough step that you
Well,
took.
then roller coasters would be no fun.
What? Roller coasters are scary and fun.
I know. If there was no fun and fear,
Oh,
nobody would
yes,
ride a roller
yes,
coaster.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
You know, we're
So,
so scared, and I'm totally afraid of heights, and so it hits that high mountain or that high peak if you've ever been to like Six Flags, and I'm dying. But as soon as you get off, for all the fear, the entire ride,
yeah,
you get off and you're like, dude, let's do it again.
yeah. And it's just like that anticipation when you get to the very top, you're like, oh my gosh, and you're like holding your breath. And then it goes down and your stomach's still like up in the air, you know? Oh my gosh, yes. It's just, you're right. It's like a roller coaster.
I
That's
even
kind of
passed
like
out twice on one of them.
you stop it
No, I'm
right
serious.
now.
Like the G-force, it puts you in there, and they even warn
Really?
you that that's an issue. And
Oh,
you're like, you're there, and you're like, and you like kind of come back at the end of the ride, and you're like, okay.
wow. That's crazy.
And then you want to do it again still.
Yeah, you do. Although I don't think I would do it if I passed out. That would be too scary for me, I
It
think.
was like a moment. It's not like a long moment.
Okay.
In the Air Force, we actually had training and said if you hit a certain number of G's, you just you can train to get better at it.
Yeah.
But at some point, your body is just like. That's why
Yeah.
the pilots have special suits that actually squeeze them to keep
Oh,
blood down. So it all
interesting.
runs to their head.
Interesting. I didn't know all of that.
There's no reason you should.
Hey, new fact. I learn something new all the time.
What is, if you had to sum it up, because I mean, these are, I call them black box concepts. You know, somebody cannot, it's not like a cup. You can't grab it and like, this is a cup. This is how tall it is, how short it is. This is exactly how you make a cup, you drink from a cup.
Yeah.
People can take their, 50% of the population is visual, logical. It's very hard for someone though to take that idea and really wrap their head around it.
Mm-hmm.
So what are three, let's say one from each section, what are three things that people can actively do to work on changing these mindsets?
Okay, so like for the first one, like leaning into your fear. What I like to do with every new project or venture I do with my business, I make sure that my mentality or my focus is on what can I learn from this. And so at the end of the presentation, no matter how prepared I am, there's always something that goes wrong. And so I write down right away, what are the three things that I have learned from this? What are the three things that I did really well? And next time, what can I do better? Because instead of you being super self-critical of yourself and then basically feeding the fear with proof, right? Proof that you aren't good enough or you can't do it or you're not smart enough or all those crazy things that you tell yourself. Instead of feeding that fear with that, you're actually looking at this, your fear story from a observer perspective instead. And so that is like one of the things that I would do. Sorry about that, Jenna.
Oh, is that you? I thought it might have been
They
me.
weren't supposed to be home. You might have to edit that part out.
Nah,
Do you want me to start over?
No.
Okay. Leaning into your fears. So yes. So basically seeing it as a observer.
He's cool.
Okay. Seeing it as an observer and learning, giving yourself this like learning opportunity. How can I get better at this? Right. Because again, we're always growing and evolving with everything that we do. The next shift was embracing the imposter syndrome. So again, it's super common. And the only way to sort of keep yourself from continuing to feel like you're an imposter is to just take action. Just take some action. It does not have to be the right action or the wrong action. Any action you take is better than inaction. So someone once said, imperfect action is always better than perfect procrastination. And so basically, that is how you're going to help to overcome, or at least for that moment, overcome the imposter syndrome. Because again, like, you can't ever that's never going to go away. You're always going to have the feeling of some sort of imposter syndrome, no matter what new project that you work on, because it's so new.
I heard someone say that inaction breeds fear.
Yes, inaction breeds fear too, because when you don't do anything, you just continue to stay stuck where you are. And the fear just gets bigger, and the disbelief that you can't, the belief that you can't do what you want to do just basically is solidified by inaction, because you're not doing anything.
Right.
Like, you're just scared, and it just grows. And then the last one is it's okay to, like, want more money. And part of changing that mentality, to, like, it's okay to want more money, is creating a better relationship with your money by seeing your debt as investments, seeing it as blessings paid ahead of time, and seeing your savings not as an emergency fund, but as a wealth fund. Because when you set up an emergency fund, you're already telling yourself that something bad is going to happen. And it makes you, and you're not even excited about saving money. You're like, oh, it's such a chore. But if you created a wealth fund, I mean, endless possibilities.
What,
endless.
You don't want to create the quarterly tax payment fund? Is that not exciting to you? By the
Exactly.
way, if you're self-employed and you're going to make any amount of money, you need a quarterly tax fund.
I know. So, like, it's really the words that you use too, like that helps too. And these are just like really quick ways to do it. Obviously, these shifts don't happen overnight. It's a habit. So like any habit, it's just going to take time. So if your habit is, you're a hoarder with your money, that you don't use it or spend it, then, maybe just being able to buy someone a coffee once a week, like that's $3 a week. So, but those hoarders might calculate it out to like, okay, $3 a week, that's $12 a month, that's $144 a year, right? And so, hoarders do not go crazy like that. Like, that's how people will start thinking. But
well, there's like two things, like on hoarders. One, if you're hoarding stuff, let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Build a vision and get rid of anything that doesn't support that vision.
Right.
But with the money hoarding, like I just got back from the digital agency growth summit with digital marketer. And one of the things that I mostly hung out with guys. I mean,
mm-hmm.
One, it's mostly a room full of guys. It's just not a lot of digital marketing females.
Mm-hmm.
But there was one day we all kind of like happened to huddle around, and I was actually kind of a little upset. I'm talking to like Marcus Murphy. I'm like, dude, we need more girls on stage. You had none. Like, I don't care if it's a talk about how to bring women up, but this is not cool. And of course, all the women are like, yeah, and they're all around, and we go to drink. And I'm noticing how, and I don't know how men do it exactly. I know they have their own. When you hoard money, it shows other people you don't have money, you're not successful, and you need every dime.
Right.
But
even rich people do that though, Jenna.
I know, but even people around them, the way that people interact with those people is negative.
Yeah.
When the bill comes and we had all ordered drinks, and the waitress was saying something about splitting, and I thought we told her we wanted separate, but it all came as one. And she put the receipt down, and I just slid a card and just said, just take it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you wear nicer shoes, and you wear a nice dress, and you handle dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And the way people interact with that is so much different. They look to you as the role model now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not, there are going to be people that judge you too, but other people are looking up to you saying, is she an industry leader or not? Mm-hmm. An industry leader isn't going to be the Grinch with a few drinks.
Right. Right.
What's $10? I think that bill happened to be $77. Like, I know it. $77 and some odd cents plus tip. But when you Grinch your money, I found that it creates a mentality around the people around you.
Mm-hmm.
Like when everyone's sharing and no one's sitting there and debating every little nickel,
Right.
it's a much happier, cohesive tribe.
Mm-hmm. It is. And not just that, I mean, even if you think about it with in the way of like individuals who, like, you go to Dunkin' Donuts and you're, you know, in the to-go line, you know, I don't know, is it the to-go line? I don't
I
know.
don't know, I don't
But,
buy
you know,
donuts.
you order, you know, the drive-through, sorry. And the person ahead of you pays for your meal, you know, and sometimes like it just starts this chain, and it's not necessarily you trying to model um, being someone better or anything like that, but it's just like a feel good feeling, you know? And so you're like, wow, that's so nice of him. Well, I'm going to pay for the next person's coffee or whatever, and that person gets coffee and free coffee. And then the other person might pay for a donut or something, you know, and that the person behind them gets a free donut. So it's just, it really is about people living a happier life, and how easily that can spread, you know, with the people surrounding us. I mean, it doesn't take that much energy to be generous, to be kind, to do something good for somebody else, you
That's
know?
true.
Yeah. So,
And inside your household too, not just business.
oh yes, especially in your household. That's where it starts, especially in your household. Absolutely.
Let's see. You've done really good. We didn't go way too over or way not enough.
Okay, good.
Would you say do you have any final thoughts? Like, I really appreciate you being here and taking the time. You're actually like me, for anyone not noticing or seeing your husband or kids in the background. We're at a holiday break and our kids are home.
They come home a little bit early. I didn't mean for that to happen. It's okay. We're almost done.
Well,
No,
thank you
I'm
very much for giving us some of your family time. And
absolutely.
any final thoughts? Like, what would you tell the entrepreneur?
You know, I actually have a perfect quote for you. This is probably like super cheesy, but it's Jen Sincero from You Are a Badass. That it's a book, and if anyone has not read it, I highly recommend. She's very bright, super funny, and it's an easy read. But I just want to leave you with this quote. All life is either moving forward and evolving or shrinking back and dying. If you want to evolve in your own life, you have to push through the obstacles instead of running from them. Obstacles and challenges are the agents of growth. Nobody gets to be large and in charge without facing challenges and moving through them. Birth is messy, painful, scary, uncertain, and freaky. Birth is also a glorious miracle that leads to new life. If you want the new life you say you want, you have to do the work instead of just studying and discussing and wishing and wanting. So I just wanted to leave you with
I feel like
that.
every mom should know that one, especially not just
Yeah.
from the birthing being painful, but the learning to let go of your appearances and show up to get things done covered in yogurt and puke and
Mm-hmm.
probably some other weird things, and
Yeah.
um, always good outcomes.
Yep.
Lots of pain.
Yep.
Well, thank
Yes.
you very much, Theresa.
Well, it's been a pleasure. Thanks, Jenna, for having me.
I have we've been really enjoying watching you kind of grow just in the past year and a half too, and um, I'm glad to have you here and kind of see that development into a coach away from MLM.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Okay, you too. Bye.